Trouble for BP as it inches closer to sealing the leaking well for good. Congressional investigators now say BP is using too much toxic chemical dispersants to break up the oil in the Gulf of Mexico. All this as the company's new boss says it's time for a, quote, scale back in cleaning up the spill. Chris Gutierrez is live in Lafitte, Louisiana with the very latest. Chris, I imagine some folks aren't happy about that news.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Shannon. Remember, we were told several weeks ago that BP had already used a record amount of those chemical dispersants, nearly 2 million gallons worth of those chemical dispersants, to separate and break up that oil in the middle of the Gulf. But now we're hearing from Democratic Congressman Ed Markey that there actually may be more of that chemical dispersant that was dumped into the Gulf of Mexico. After reviewing government documents, Markey learned BP continued to request the use of chemical dispersants, and the Coast Guard approved the use of the toxic chemicals, despite the EPA's demand to stop using them, except in, quote, rare cases. The documents show the Coast Guard approved 74 waivers over a 48-day period after that restriction was imposed. For example, on June 13th, BP received the green light to dump 36,000 more gallons of dispersant in the Gulf. And here's why that's bad. Listen here.
And we know that the oil, the dispersant, they're both toxic. You put them together, they're actually more toxic on things like corals and eggs and larvae, things that are really critical to the marine biology of the Gulf of Mexico.
Now, seeking answers in a letter to Incident Commander Admiral Thad Allen, Markey wrote, quote, BP often carpet bombed the ocean with these chemicals, and the Coast Guard allowed them to do it, end quote. Meanwhile, BP is now one step closer to implementing its static kill. That, in conjunction with the drilling of those 2 relief wells, could potentially finally bring this environmental disaster to an end in the next few weeks. Shannon, back to you.
Chris Gutierrez live on the scene there in Louisiana. Thank you. Well, a slowdown on another oil spill. The Canadian company that owns a pipeline that leaked hundreds of thousands of gallons of oil into the Kalamazoo River in Michigan has been ordered to submit a revised version of its cleanup plan by Monday. The EPA rejected the company's long-range plan because of deficiencies in content and technical details. Enbridge's CEO says the company will modify the plan to try to meet EPA requirements. Well, the death toll from flooding in Pakistan has risen to a staggering 1,100 as rescue workers struggle to save more than 27,000 people still trapped by rushing waters. Crews are making more progress now that the monsoon rains have died down, but as the waters recede, the full scale of the disaster is just now becoming clear. Entire villages have washed away. One official calls the damage, quote, massive and devastating.